Well, hello, good morning. Good to be here. Already, I see 13 people out there. Fantastic. I love that. And I know more people will be streaming in. The best part about doing these live stream has been connecting with you guys out there. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring Mary out, and here she comes. Mary, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, everybody.
It's good to see you.
It's great
So who's
to be
out there?
here.
We got Joanna, we got John B, we got Missy, we got Neil, we got Christine, and we got Fred H. And then there's a bunch of other people who haven't said hello yet. Say hello whenever you can. Good to have you here. So Mary, here we are. This is going to be our final live stream.
It is.
I was thinking about this. So the live stream started really around the time of COVID, you know?
Mhm.
And when a lot of us weren't going to meetings, and Angela and I and Ben were going to do these weekly live streams. And then Ben, he had enough going on in his life, so he stopped. So Angela and I kept going for a couple years on
Yes,
it.
we did. Yep.
You know, and it was a very nice thing. We did it on Friday nights, and it was kind of like a meeting, and we just enjoyed it a great deal. But like everything, you know, it has its time. So we took a break, and then you and I started, and it's hard to believe it's been a year since you and I have been doing this.
I know. It went by fast. It went by fast. And I found y'all on Friday nights during the COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I found you, but I would look forward to it every Friday night. And not only that, I feel like I was being validated. I learned a lot. I learned how to talk about the 12 steps in a secular way.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated the wisdom that came out of y'all, the humor, the wisdom. And if anybody here hasn't heard Angela on the podcast with John, go on the Facebook page or the Beyond Belief Sobriety YouTube channel, and you'll see those with
They're all out there.
Angela B. And y'all did a really great interpretation of the 12 steps.
She had, you know, she started out her sobriety in a secular way.
Mm-hmm, she did.
You know, whereas I didn't, you know, and she immediately went in there with the confidence to tell people, I'm not buying into that, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she had a good sponsor up front who introduced her to that book. Oh gosh,
I know what you're talking about by Arliss G.
Yes.
The Alternative 12 Steps.
The Alternative 12 Steps. Yep. And so that's what she did. And of course I went the regular way, and then later, many years later, started interpreting them. But you know, when we were doing this podcast early on, and even to this day, the episodes that I got the most comments on were when we talk about the steps practically and secularly. Because I do think that, especially if you're new to AA, it is difficult to try to get past that language if you're a non-believer in a God, you know.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're sitting around a bunch of people who are telling you that you have to have a higher power, and if a higher power isn't your concept, it's really difficult to navigate, you know.
Yes.
So.
And we found that that's not true.
No.
Yeah.
What I learned from all of that, and I learned this from other people, is it's all just words. It's all just language. You know, at that very first conference, the very first secular AA conference I went to in Santa Monica, Ward Ewing was there.
Yes.
And he gave an excellent talk. He was the chair of the board of Alcoholics Anonymous at the time, or maybe he just stepped down. But he said that the way he put it is, our experience is the same. It's just the way we describe it is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I found that to be true. The experience truly is pretty much the same, but the way that we describe it's different.
Agree with you 100%.
You know,
yeah.
And he was a very, you know, I know that some people didn't like him speaking at that conference, but he was great at that conference because he was very inclusive, and he brought people together and just showed that, you know, listen, you know, you all have more in common than you'd think.
Exactly.
And he also was very adamant that religion stay out of AA. and he was a minister.
I think that's awesome. And I think it would be great if religion stayed out of AA. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, those were popular, those step series, and they're going to always be out there. I've had people ask me, what's going to happen to all the podcast episodes? They'll be out there forever.
Yeah, they'll be out there forever. You can always refer to them. And, I just remember listening to y'all and I just thought, wow, of course. It was just validation and inspiration.
Right.
And I really appreciated the fact that you took the time to do that. And, Angela inspired me too. She had a voice for radio. She
does. She really does. She's
clear.
So good. She's so smart. And the thing about her is she's well read and she remembers every damn thing she ever read. And I'm like, I don't.
And she can verbalize it in a crystal clear way. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah. She's very talented, very smart, and a real asset to the recovery community. So it was a lot of fun doing those with her. Always looked forward to it and always learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot from everybody, from you and from everybody. And that's part of the best thing about doing this is what I was able to learn from others, just having conversations,
Absolutely.
listening.
I've learned a lot from you, John. And I remember calling you after the podcast on Friday nights because I had to do a 12-step thing over 12 weeks. And
I remember.
Right. And I was like, I don't know what to say to this traditional group that I'm in.
Yep. I remember that.
I can't interpret it that way. And you just kept saying, well, I just never think about it. I just do it.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, you gave me the hope, kind of like in the second step, that there's hope that maybe I could actually do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that your example, and then when you were with Angela and anybody that's come on this podcast, their example of being comfortable in their own skin, in recovery, living life happily in recovery, and the way they do their program has inspired me 100%. And it's wonderful to have this vehicle to talk about it so that other people that are feeling like, well, I don't think like that, and they're all doing it that way, and do I have to do it that way? No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, you can do it your way. To thine own self be true.
And if you do speak at a speaker meeting at a traditional group, this is what you and I were talking about is, I found, okay, I don't really have to make a thing about not believing in God. All I have to do is just describe this experience that I had in my own way. I mean, going through the steps, but without mentioning anything about the steps. And everybody thought, yeah. Everybody, the most God-believing people in the world think it's, they relate to you and fine. But if I would have gone in there and said, I do this without God and this is how I do it, then people would have just shut off, I think.
Totally shut off or been a lot more critical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't have to convince anybody to do anything the way I have done it.
No.
And I prefer that people don't try to make me do it the way they do it.
Right.
So I think that's what the beauty for me is of the secular approach, is that there's more room in the tent for everybody's process.
Right. Mm-hmm. Another thing I got out of doing this for the last 7.5 years, hard to believe, this podcast, but I became interested in other programs. So all my life, all I ever knew was AA, right?
Right.
And then there was somebody who was in Smart Recovery who came on an early episode. And I don't honestly know if I even heard of Smart Recovery before he came on. And it was really interesting. And then we had some people that talked about the Sinclair method. And that, which was kind of controversial when I did that. And then I started talking to some other experts and stuff. And then other got more involved with the Smart Recovery thing and Life Ring and Women for Sobriety. And oh man, just so much out there, just book clubs. And that's what really fascinated me, was all the different groups of how people come together and find each other to support one another in their recovery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
there's a way to do it. If you want to be sober, you can find a way now more than ever.
Yep. So much easier now.
And you, John, before we get to open the floor to callers, I just want to say that you have been a good friend and also like a trailblazer for me, and just a person that was comfortable in their own skin, that was sober, that was wise, that had a great sense of humor. And you're a very patient and generous person. And I really have appreciated that you have inspired me so much. And I know that other people I hear at meetings are like, if it weren't for that, podcast and John Sheldon, I credit him with my recovery. And I know that's hard to absorb.
Yeah.
But, you just being sober, first of all, and you just going beyond your comfort zone and you just wanting to talk about your recovery is a way that helps so many people. And that's what we do in here. We help each other a little bit further along the path to stay sober.
Yeah.
And thank you for all that you've done, that you just suited up and showed up. And I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And it's really been an honor to do this. And like I say, there's Angela. Hey, Angela, good to see you out there. Jay Monty, Bobbert, Christine, Kathy, Bree, Alice, Tyler, so many out there. So good to see you. Connecting with the people who listen to this has also been probably one of the highest parts of doing this, occasionally getting emails or speaking with someone at a conference or a phone call or whatever. And just this live stream, the connection that we make through this live stream was phenomenal. It was something that was even beyond what I learned from my guest in the episode, was how it impacted somebody who was listening to it later on. It's like,
Absolutely.
wow, unbelievable.
Wow is right. Yes.
Yeah. So many people out there. I can't believe this. This is so nice of you all to be here. Lola, Bill A. Anyway.
And you put the phone number up?
Oh, yeah. I'll put the phone number up so y'all can call if you like to. Call and say whatever you want. Let me put the phone number up. There we go. You can call us at anytime, 844-899-8278. Ask us anything, say anything, and we have the right to deny.
Mute you. We have the right to mute you. Mute and boot.
Deny anything and refuse to answer or any of that.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you just being willing to let me try this out. And I remember when you first said you wanted to start again, I thought, well, that kind of interests me, but no, I could never do that. And then I started thinking, well, why not? And then I said, I'll do it 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if we like it and we don't, then it'll be 4 weeks. And then here we are.
I knew that you would be perfect for this. Joanna,
I did not.
Joanna, her first interview here was the Women for Sobriety interview. The one regret I have about going out is I didn't explore Women for Sobriety and Life Ring as much. I was really wanting to do that. But Women for Sobriety in particular, because I'm so surprised. The thing has been around since 1975. And so often I will speak with a woman in recovery who isn't even familiar with it.
Right.
And it's completely secular and has been since 1975.
Wow.
Yeah. So here we got a call. Someone calling from Idaho. I bet you that might be.
I know who that is.
Hello. Welcome. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. This is Angela.
I thought that might be Angela calling in from our Idaho office.
Hey, Angela.
Yes, it's good to see you both.
Good to see you. How's it going?
It's going well. I heard that you were doing a final farewell live stream today, so I thought I would call in and say hi and show my gratitude and appreciation for all you've put into helping the secular community all of these years. We really appreciate it. I know that it's not easy, and particularly for those of us in recovery, we don't always feel like getting on and sharing our experience, and you keep showing up and doing it, and I've appreciated it, and so many other people have as well. So thank you for all that you've done. And I've gotten to talk to Mary a few times in the last year and participate in things with her as well, and that's been wonderful. So Mary, you've done an excellent job, and I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Angela. And I have learned so much from you too. That was such a special experience that we had starting off with COVID. What a strange time that was, We didn't know what was going on that thing, and it was kind of a scary time for people in recovery, but but we made it through. It was we called it sober distancing. I thought it was kind of cool.
It was awesome. It was perfect timing.
Yeah. But all things have their time.
It was fun.
I tell you one thing. I think I was talking to Mary about this last week, but so getting older has its advantages in a way, in that I do have more appreciation for time. I honestly to God do. And just looking at what's ahead of me, I had to stop and say, do I want to be doing a live stream until I die? Or do I want to do the podcast? I don't want to. I think I want to do something else. So yeah. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Maybe do something outdoors where I can get some sun and some fresh air, some exercise.
Take the dog for a walk on Saturday.
Right. Well, and it's also good, you've done enough of it and you've done a variety of things. So the live stream's one thing that you've done. You've done it with video and without.
Yes.
You've done pre-recorded things. And so all of that is helpful. And it also, one of the things I needed to learn in recovery was to step back and let other people move into the place,
Yep.
So if people still want this kind of content, they'll create it.
That's right.
It'll be scary, but they'll do it just like you did.
Yep.
There was a void there and you filled it, and that gave me inspiration. So I said, hey, why don't we do a secular version of the steps and record that? And that's how I started out with you, and then that led to live streams, and so who knows what'll be next, but you've paved the way for other people to be able to take up the mantle of live streaming if they choose to. So I think you've done your share, and I know that you've always been somebody that is helpful when other people ask about live streaming or podcasting or, how to start a meeting. You get emails from, people on all of those topics, and you're helpful in pointing them in the right direction. And so, I think you've done your part, and I'm sure you'll continue to in small ways. And I think that's part of recovery, is stepping back and letting other people step up.
That's true.
At some point, we actually do recover. Well, thank you so much, Angela.
All right.
It was really nice
I'll
to hear from you.
continue watching.
All right.
Thanks,
care.
Angela.
Yeah, I'll continue watching the live stream, but love you both and take care.
Love
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye-bye. So nice to hear from her.
I know.
We've got some comments. Let's go through these. And thank you all for these comments. This is just heartwarming. So that was Meridian, Idaho. Okay, here we go. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Christine. As someone who has struggled with the idiosyncrasies of AA, I valued these videos. I'm so glad to hear that. Bobbert liked the step series. It was the first thing that listened to that we did. And again, if some traditional old timers knew how I lived my program, they would clutch their pearls. How funny. Cindy has something. She says, thank you both for showing me that there is a way to be sober that works without compromising who I am. That there is. And golly, that was the great freedom that I got from learning about, it's someone from Canada calling. Let's take this call. I'll be quiet. Winnipeg, Canada. Welcome. What's up?
Hi there, John and Mary. It's Michelle from Winnipeg.
Michelle.
Hey.
So nice to hear from you. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents worth in and thank you for everything. And it's watching Beyond Belief Sobriety and watching you guys has literally changed my life.
Wow.
It really has. And sort of like what Mary said too was that I hear Beyond Belief Sobriety a lot in meetings.
Really?
So it's influenced so people.
Yes.
And the generosity and your kindness, John, has always just made such a difference. So that's it. I just want to make a quick call and thank you so
Well, thank
very
you for
much.
that. I appreciate that. It's so very nice of you. Humbling to know that people are talking about this.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, you guys know, don't be troubled. It's all good.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank
okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. But yeah, I was going to comment on Cindy's comment here. Thank you both for showing me that there's a way to be sober without compromising who I am. That's the biggest thing. You have to be who you are. And you know what I used to find ironic about some AA meetings, traditional AA meetings, they would stress the honesty, the self-honesty, and how important that was, but they wouldn't support someone who was trying to be authentic and describe these things in their own way. But gosh, it's so important. And that I was sober for 25 years, doing it the way that people were telling me I needed to do it, talking the way I thought people wanted me to talk. And as soon as I started just not compromising that about myself, boy, it was freeing. And I just, and the growth was from there was
Amazing.
phenomenal. Yep.
Yep.
I think it stifles your growth if you just want to repeat what you think other people want you to hear, because I think I was doing fine, but I was kind of plateaued. Once I kind of gave that stuff up and started thinking about it in my own way, it was off I went, and the growth. So yeah, Cindy, that's really important. You don't compromise who you are. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that to be in AA. You don't.
Nope.
You have too many choices now.
Yep.
And I hope that secular AA spreads and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
I think it will. I don't even know how big it is now. I mean, ever since all these meetings went online, God, I don't even know how many. There's millions. It's so accessible. And what gets me though is the post-COVID era. Is I think that more people have become familiar with secular AA, and I also wonder, because I haven't really been going to a lot of these Zoom meetings, traditional meetings anyway. But it was so difficult to do the Serenity Prayer. I wonder if they, just to open the meeting with a prayer. I wonder if they kind of gave that up after a while. Anyway.
The ones I go to don't.
They don't? Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler, connection has been key for my recovery. Talking with John and Angela and meeting some of the podcast guests myself has widened my recovery network, helping me learn to help others.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that connection has always been important to me ever since I've been in recovery. Starting off at that men's group that I went to, which was kind of a mixed bag, but the benefit that I got about that was just being with guys like me, my age, running around. Of anything that I did at that time, from my late, I guess, mid 20s to 30s, that helped me the most wasn't necessarily the step work or the things that I did in the meeting, but it was the stuff I did outside the meeting with these friends of mine who were sober.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And it was kind of nice, I guess, being with guys and having real friendships with them and talking about things that I never had before. Mm-hmm. It was just a different experience. So it really, that helped a lot. So that connection thing truly is important. If anybody is, thinking that they want to change their relationship with alcohol, I like to say that if they're thinking they want to do something different, make a change in their life, and that alcohol is keeping them from keeping them down, they have a problem with it. Connecting with other people that want to do the same thing. That's the secret of AA.
I agree. So, that's the way to go, to not be alone. And you don't have to be alone.
No.
And if I could have gotten sober alone, I would have.
Yep. Jay Monty says the plateau is real.
Yeah, it is. It is totally real.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that you get into a place of comfort, I think,
Complacency. Yep.
Yes, it's really easy because life is so horrible, honestly, when you're drinking, whether you're an alcoholic. It's not good. It wasn't good for me. And so when you go from that life to just being sober and just doing the bare minimum, not drinking, is pretty damn good. Things get it's a lot better for sure. I mean, I was pretty happy. I tell people, as long as they don't throw me in jail, I'm okay. But there's more to life than that,
Yeah, there is.
There's more to life than that. You can actually kind of grow and do things that you thought you wanted to do that you couldn't do when you were drinking. There's so much you can do in recovery when you're sober with support. There's so much you can do. Yeah. And so yeah.
And there's so many ways you can change. And for me, it was not so much I didn't want to get put in jail as I didn't want to have the horrible critic in my head rule my life.
Right.
My inner world was so awful to be in. That's why I had to escape, because I couldn't stand my own mind. It was so critical. It was awful.
Yep.
Yep.
Jay Monty, I've been to 2 secular conferences and seen John at both, being quietly ever present at them, doing his recording thing as a comforting presence. Yeah, it's funny. I'm very much an introvert, and I'm not comfortable in mingling. I'm not a good mingler. Even with AA people, I'm not good at it. And so if I go to a conference, I'm happy and I'm having a good time. But it was really nice at that conference in Toronto where I had a job to do. I could just do my recording stuff and I wouldn't have to mingle.
You wouldn't have to talk to people.
I wouldn't have to talk to anybody. But I'm okay. Like, it's weird. If I'm just like in an open room where people are mingling, blah, 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 for whatever reason, I'm not comfortable. But if I'm with just a couple of people sitting on a couch having an intimate conversation, then I'm very comfortable. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't understand it.
I don't think it's weird.
No.
Yeah, no.
It's just
not
normal.
At all. Yeah.
Because I guess maybe when you're in the big room and people are mingling, it's like, oh my God, who's going to...
Well, like, what are they talking about and which...
Right.
Chit chat and, I don't know. It's too easy to get in your own head about it. Yeah.
Better in smaller groups. Daniel Bush, only found the podcast last summer. It has been my go-to while returning to business traveling. Very appreciative of your work and making the past episodes available. One really interesting email I got from someone who was listening to the podcast is they were listening to it as they were hiking through someplace in South America.
Wow.
I know. I thought that's so cool. Somebody's just out there in the woods in South America and they're listening to this podcast. But yeah, there are statistics that I can access, that shows, how many people listen and where they're from. And it's mind-boggling,
wow.
all over the world. And I think that about 25,000 downloads a month just from the podcast itself. Yeah.
What?
So it was pretty. Yeah. So for podcasts, that's not bad. I'm no Joe Rogan, but yeah, not bad.
No, you are definitely not Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, he's kind of a jerk, isn't he?
Let's don't go there with that.
I haven't actually listened to much of his stuff, but he's different, I guess. But anyway.
You're so kind and patient, and I think you give people permission to just be themselves around you. And I think that you're sort of like a permission giver and a validator, and dependable. And you've done a great job.
I think I don't argue. Like sometimes I would have a guest that would come on and I didn't agree with what they were saying.
Right.
And my listeners wouldn't agree either. They thought, how dare you have this person on talking about this? But I just don't get into debates, and I am kind of interested in learning what they say. And I think also just kind of being here in the Midwest, I'm just kind of naturally not going to be confrontatational with people, I guess. I don't know. That's what they tell me anyway. Oh, we got another caller. Ellsworth, Kansas. I think this is Bree. Hello, how you doing? Ellsworth,
Hi,
Kansas.
John. Hi, Mary.
Hey.
Hey, Bree, what's going on?
I just want my T-shirt.
Oh, you want your T-shirt? Ain't gonna be no T-shirts.
Hey, Bree.
Never happened. Never will.
Just wanted to thank you for. Yeah, I know that now. All hope is gone.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
So anyway, I wanted to thank you for all your hard work and everything that you've done for the secular community over the years. It's quite a legacy, in your stead. And there are hundreds of people that are serving today because of your path. And,
wow.
If you haven't realized the change you made in people's lives, then I think someone should tell you that and thank you. So that's what I called.
Thank you so much, Bree. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Bree.
And it's nice having you here locally because I know that I'll see you again sometime soon. I sure will. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So, John, what do you think? What do you wish for the future of now for Beyond Belief Sobriety? I know that it will be finished, but what do you hope? Do you hope someone steps up to the plate?
Yeah, I think that they will. I mean, what I've seen is there. First of all, there are secular AA podcast out there. I mean, the secular AA organization itself has a podcast where they have their speakers, and then they put them out on Lisbon, I think, whatever they use for their podcast. So you've got that, and then you've got Here's Tom with the Weather, again, AA, secular AA type person. So you've already got some secular AA type people who are talking about the steps and so forth secularly. So you've got that going on. And I think there's more room for that. Plus, there's just I think more discussion about recovery beyond the 12 steps on either podcast or YouTube channels. And there's what I like seeing is more acceptance of multiple paths.
Agreed.
And an understanding that this problem of addiction exists on a spectrum. And, from bad to worse or whatever, it's like not everybody needs the same thing. So that, and that's all accessible. I think there's more of it available now than there ever was. So yeah, I think that for sure that there will be more of this coming,
Agreed.
And hopefully maybe, this content will be out there for forever, as long as until something happens to the world, I guess, or the YouTube, but it'll always be out there. So maybe there'll be, someone will be inspired by it and want to do something. So
that would be great. And then we also are going to have, I just want to put a plug in for the International Conference of Secular AA. We'll be having a virtual conference in the fall this year.
Oh, really?
Wait, I think this year. And they're starting a planning committee. So if anybody would be interested in being on the planning committee for the next conference, the virtual conference, and then the year after that, it'll also be in person. So feel free to look up secularaa.org for the International Conference of Secular AA and volunteer. Yeah, all you need is willingness. You don't need special skills or special sauce. Just show up.
It was really the first secular AA conference I went to that put me on a new path. And yes, Stephen, we're closing the doors. I am anyway. Just ready to move on, and I'm going to be retiring in a couple years, and I'm looking forward to doing some traveling with my wife, spending some more time with her, and that kind of thing. So we got someone calling from Montreal, Canada. Oh, I love having all these callers. Montreal, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. This is Izzy. I'm one of the co-founders of Friday Night Sober in Montreal, Laval. Oh. I love your stuff. I really do. I listen to your podcast with Angela, and I use it for myself. I use it with sponsees. My sponsor uses it with me. It just really brings all of that literature. It just makes everything relatable. And to hear from you guys it makes it all relatable, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just celebrated in January our 4-year anniversary.
Wow.
And it's just because of Zoom, right? We have people coming in from all over, and it's just a great place to be, and I don't know I know you don't even know what you're going to be doing a year down the road, but maybe one of these days you'll grace us with your presence and be one of our guest speakers at our anniversary meeting.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, we'll be traveling.
I'm planting to see. Yeah, it's on Zoom.
Oh, it's on Zoom. Oh, it's even better, easier. Don't even have to go any place.
There you go. Hey, you don't have to go anywhere.
That's right, for sure. Always open for something like that.
So much.
Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
You are amazing.
Izzy,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Izzy.
Bye-bye.
And you don't have to mingle.
Bye, Mary.
Bye.
No, you don't have to mingle. That's right. Angela is reminding us that Tusnua from Ireland, they have their stuff online. Yeah. And so all of those meetings that they have are online now. So, and very good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Very good. Very good speaks there.
Yes.
Speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Campbell. My conversation with you a few years ago is a highlight of my memory. Thank you. Oh yeah, Ken, I remember that. Oh yeah, I love that book. What is it called? Our friend. What's that? I can't. But Ken, remind me the name of your book. It's something about. Anyway, he wrote a book about people in recovery in San Francisco during the AIDS crisis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd like to hear that. John?
Yes.
Ken, tell us the name.
Yeah, and I'll find it. But the book was amazing, and he's an amazing person, and it was just a great experience. That's what friends are for. That's what friends are for.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So the book is set in San Francisco, I guess in the early 1980s when no one really knew what was going on with AIDS. People were dying, and the gay community got together. The gay recovery community got together. They were already kind of connected, and they supported each other. And it's just an amazing book. I can't. The episode is out there for everyone to hear. But he did a really good job with that. And thank you so much for the comment, Ken. I really do appreciate that. That was probably, honestly, truly, that was probably my favorite book that I read as a result of this podcast. I learned so much from it. And I loved the connection that he wrote about with his friends. And it's just a really sweet book. So yeah, thank you so much, Ken. That was really a good one. Good episode. That's what friends are for. Okay. And the Secular Ontario AA Roundup last August.
Late August.
Oh, late August coming up. Yeah. And I did go to one of those ones, the one in Hamilton, and really enjoyed it. So yeah, those are good. A lot of good stuff out there. A lot of good things to do. Has the Secular AA organization talked about having an in-person conference again? Do you know?
Yeah, the next year.
Oh, next year?
2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And where's it going to be?
I don't think it has been decided yet. Yeah. But
okay. It's
in the works.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bree, yeah, probably so. I would do some of those speaker meetings, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I would, sure. Whatever. Yeah, I would. Yep. Absolutely.
So John, what do you think can you remember, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any memories of some of your favorite podcasts?
Yeah, that's what friends are for sure. That one. I guess I liked doing a variety of different things, but I liked the personal stories that I did, and I kind of got away from that over the last couple of years. But the personal stories, I learned a lot about, I guess, the different ways of viewing this experience, and the honesty and openness from the guest was just very special. So that all of their stories I still keep with me. So those were the most special episodes, I think. Anytime I did a personal story with someone. Then I started interviewing authors, and I think that Ken was one of the first authors. I preferred the books that were written by people that were in the program, kind of memoirs. I like memoirs a lot. But then I started getting into like talking to psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff, which is cool too. I learned a lot from them, but it's like, sometimes I felt like when I was doing those episodes and when I had to read a book to talk to someone who has like a PhD or a doctorate or something, I'm like, oh my God, am I going to even understand what this person wrote?
Well, you did great. You're a good interviewer. You can always talk on an understandable level with somebody.
But I think this last year, all the therapists I talked to, I feel like I got free therapy sessions from them. I would tell them that sometimes too, because I would talk to them. All of a sudden, I start telling them about my problems.
Why not?
Why not? They're there. I got them on the phone. Ed, everything grows, evolves, changes, oldies. I can't read.
It does.
lots of people struggle with change. The upcoming 5th edition of Alcoholics Anonymous is already causing some contentious dialogue. I wish you all the best. I wonder, whenever they make a change in the big book, there's always a problem, but usually the change is pretty slight. It's usually like just the stories in the back, right?
Or a word.
Yeah, they have changed a few words. But yeah, they need to just, they need to say, okay, I think we've done all we can with this book. Let's come up with something different. I don't know. I think they can do that.
Let's build a new, fresh big book. Current, modern.
Yep. And that one we read. And Neil says that I love the one of the authors, especially Maria.
Yes, I was going to say that too, Neil. I love whenever I listen to her talk.
Yeah, the first time I ever heard her was at the Santa Monica conference in 2014. And I was kind of in awe of her because I had already read her book, Waiting, and it had a significant influence on me and how I was understanding my recovery at the time. So to see her in person, I was kind of starstruck. But yeah, she's an amazing person here. Ibby's story, Ibby's story. What I remember about that is that she was honest about describing some abuse that she had experienced. That was, very traumatic, and she was such a beautiful soul. I just loved talking to her, talking with her. But that was a wonderful story of hers, very inspiring, and she's very active still in the recovery community. And I'll see her post once in a while on Facebook and so forth. So they said eliminate the Native American story. That's another thing I regret not having done. So and I reached out to them once. There is a I guess I don't know what they would call it, like anyway, there's an organization for Native Americans in AA, right?
Yes.
And I reached out to them because I wanted to do a podcast with them to understand, how they approach the steps. And I had an email correspondence. They didn't want to come on the podcast because they saw me as an atheist, and for their culture, spirituality is very important. And I was like, no, I would welcome that anyway. But yeah, I think that what I remember them writing was that they saw the problem that they had with getting people into the meetings is that they would see AA as a white man's program, basically.
Well, yeah, so do a lot of people.
Yeah, and so that they had there's that kind of a problem, but I can't remember exactly everything that they were saying. But he gave me some links, some resources to go to, and it took me down this path where I started becoming interested in just the problem in the Native American community of alcoholism, which is just amazing, just horrible, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and the poverty and the alcoholism that exists there. I was kind of interested, but I really regret that I never went into that. I wanted to kind of investigate that more. I had a hard time kind of breaking into that community. I had a hard time breaking into some other minority communities too. I wanted to do some episodes with the African American community more too, and just had a hard time breaking into that area. I had a few, but not as much. So that's something that, if anybody were to kind of fill this void again, we really need to hear from these communities, Native Americans, African Americans, more of that. So a white guy like me probably isn't the best vehicle for connecting with those folks, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to, I tried. Hearing you say that's not an interventionist HP, that's the sharing that helps us recover. That was the first authentic validation I had in the Valid Path that it worked. Yeah. Don't need no higher power. I don't even use the word anymore. But again, it's all language, it's all words, whatever you want to call it.
It is all words. And I mean, who's going to fight over words? We're all just trying to stay sober.
You can say it's a higher power, or you could just say they're friends. White Buffalo Medicine Wheel. I actually did read that too. I can't even remember. My memory isn't serving me well this morning, but I did read that book. Anyway, traveling, Angela says. I might be traveling cross country in the fall. Maybe I'll stop by. Please do. Let me know when you're coming by. I'd love to see you. We'll go out for coffee. We'll have some laughs. That would be so nice. I'd love to see that.
And definitely come to Savannah if you're going cross country. Just head south too.
I still use the coffee cup that you gave me that says you're on mute, because that was like, you know, you would hear that like almost at every meeting, you know, and we still hear it. You're on mute. And I would use that. I use that coffee cup to say.
I heard it today. Yeah.
You're on mute. You're on mute. Okay. Have fun at your meeting, Bree. Thanks for reminding me, Bree. That's 1:00 p.m. meeting. I'm still on Zoom. Yes. Gotta go. Take care, Christine. It was good to see you. Very good to see you.
I think one of my favorite, I'll tell you what my favorite podcasts are. When we talked about Clean Slate, the movie, because I love talking about movies.
That was really good.
Yeah, I loved that. I could talk about movies all day. And that was a good movie. And those people are going to have a podcast.
They are.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's posted in the show notes of the episode that we did of what they're going to be doing. But this is a podcast you got to listen to. So check out the episode on Clean Slate, either here on YouTube or on the website, beyondbeliefsobriety.com. And in those show notes, there's some discussion about a podcast that they're going to be doing. And the podcast is going to be very well done. It's going to be about people going through treatment, right? And this is by a guy who makes movies and he knows what he's doing, and it's going to be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it when it comes out. And I kind of regret that I didn't stick around long enough to interview that, but you know what? Sometimes
you can't do it all.
You can't pick when you stop. No. It picks you, and I think that's what happened here. I just said, you know what, man. It's just the stuff that's going on in our lives now. You know, my wife with her parents, you know, her sister just died. I just felt there was more of a need for me to spend time with people here. You know, we got a lot going on. So, yeah.
I really liked the episode with Crystal M, where she told her story that really hit me in the heart. It was beautiful. She
was another one, wasn't she, that talked about abuse? Is that right?
Yeah, she did.
I thought so.
And then I loved hearing from Kimiko.
Yep.
Kimiko G.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were, when we first started, you got some people from your home group to come on as guests.
I did. And then Christopher Miller from Southwest Georgia.
Oh, that was good. That
was great. I love his story.
Yep. Got another caller, someone from Toronto, Canada. Who knows? I know a lot of people in Toronto. I got to go there again. Hey, Toronto, how you doing?
Hey, it's Joe. How you doing?
Joe, nice to see you. Nice to hear you. What's up?
Yeah, what a great pleasure this trip has been. You relieved a lot of my pressure, and I thank you for that. Just putting out content at a alcoholic rate.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, it is time to, you know, take sabbaticals and to take time off and that sort of thing. And in that way, you're also a power of example, not just getting active, but also saying goodbye is, I think, important part of recovery too, moving on from one phase to another. I don't think that's letting people down. I think that's just maturity.
Agreed.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And of course,
and there's a few for people who are saying that's all fine and good, but what am I going to listen to? There's a few podcasts that are on my regular list now. The AA Grapevine has one, which isn't horrible. It's half an hour every.
What'd you say? It's not horrible?
It's not horrible. Okay. In fact, it way exceeded my expectations.
Good.
I would like to see the Grapevine offer a dozen different podcasts with different hosts and different formats. I think that'd be great.
You know, Joe,
there's
who was the editor of the Grapevine who spoke at our conference? Amy Brophy, right? Okay, so I was going to actually have her as a guest, and I think you might remember this, Joe, because I had some correspondence with you about it because I was very nervous. I was going to have Amy from the Grapevine as a guest on the podcast, and I was like super excited about this. She never came on. I think that she had some reluctance, but she was going to come on at the time that they were putting out the book. It was the time that they did the edition for agnostics and atheists.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got to talk to her. One Big Tent. I got to talk to her, and it was really interesting. She told me that they were expecting a lot of backlash, and they didn't get any on what I'm talking about. Joe, is the October issue that they published the first time ever.
Oh, right, the October the
Atheist and
issue.
agnostic.
She was braced for backlash.
2016.
Yep, and they did not get any at all. In fact, they got nothing but positive, comments from that. But anyway, she was talking to me about what she would like to see done at the Grapevine, and one of the things that she mentioned was a podcast, about them doing a podcast. And so she was, I think, she was a visionary, but she really she was operating in a culture that was not always receptive to that. But look at them now. They have a podcast, don't they, Joe? Sorry for interrupting you, but yeah.
So they have a LinkedIn page. They're making progress.
They are. They are.
So what other podcasts do you like, Joe?
Okay, there is a brand new one called I Have 12 Questions by Amanda P. Really cool. And there's one called Many Paths to Sobriety, which is fantastic. Recovery Survey is another great one. Those are the newest. Of course, Emotional Sobriety is
love that.
Based on Ellenberger's book. And it's 3 Bro-briety fellows. For a while, since Right Now it was making a comeback, and they put out a few new episodes, but they've sort of slipped away again. But sometimes it just, you try it, it doesn't feel right, and it doesn't happen. So, and I don't think the podcast market is flooded. Every home group could have a podcast once a week.
Yep,
absolutely. Well, that would be awesome.
We did that in Kansas City for a while. So we had a speaker meeting that we turned into a podcast. And so we recorded every speaker and put it out there as a podcast. And it was a lot of fun. And what we would do too is I would come in with microphones and record everybody, and we'd go around the room and share, every person. It's like an AA meeting that was on, and we would have guests locally that would come in sometimes, and they were kind of freaked out by it. They said, "What are you recording?" Yeah, we're putting it out on the internet. It's a podcast. That's cool, Joe. That's a very good idea. Any other suggestions?
Once you start looking and going down that rabbit hole, the cool thing is, for people, especially in the secular community, is almost all podcasts are pretty darn secular.
Yep, always have been, really, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a few sort of big book traditionalist type podcasts, as there should be, but most of them are pretty much contemporary language.
Yeah. Yep.
And so is that Since Right Now the same as here? What about Here's Tom with the Weather?
Oh, Here's Tom with the Weather is on hiatus. It might be over too. Just big changes in David G's life, and with new job, newly married, and but they're still out there. That's a great thing about podcasts. I know John isn't planning on shutting down the content.
Nope.
And the Here's Tom with the Weather podcasts are all available on YouTube and other places where podcasts are found.
And you're still doing yours, Rebellion Dogs Radio, right?
Yeah, Rebellion Dogs Radio still exists. I'll have to pick up some slack now, but I've got a couple of authors. One I just talked to recently, who was going to be on your show. Until you pulled the plug.
I did. He'll be fine. I know. I wrote all my guests who I had booked. I said, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm canceling. I don't do this anymore. I'm so sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. And the couple more things coming out. Of course, Bob Kay's new.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! So he just wrote a historical, I guess. It's fiction, but it's about Bill Wilson. I got to read this book again. Another regret I have. I shut down right when Bob finished his damn book, and I said, I'm sorry, Bob. I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, you'll be interviewing him though, won't you, Joe?
Yeah, of course I will. Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
Like I said, I'll pick up the slack for now. You've been doing such a great job. In fact, you upped everybody's game, just the quality that you put out, and you also have a mannerism about yourself that is fair and equanimable, and it's hard to match for sure.
Well, thank you.
You'll leave an impression.
Thank you for saying that.
Thanks very much. I've appreciated every hour I've spent here, and look forward to seeing you maybe live in person someday.
Absolutely, you betcha.
Too, Mary. I'm looking forward to your new podcast too.
That's right.
Okay,
well, thanks again, Joe. So nice to hear from you. Thank you very, very much, and we'll stay in touch.
You bet. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jay wants to know if there's any interactives like this, any live streams. Oh boy, there are some out there. And what I'll do, Jay, because I'm not going to remember them off the top of my head, but I'm going to go ahead and post some links here to some YouTube channels that do some streams that are recovery related. They're not necessarily going to be AA type, like my background just happens to be AA, and so I talk about it,
Right.
But there are others out there who have no affiliation, never had any experience of that stuff, but they're live streams for people in recovery, and they're fun, and they're conversations, and they're interactive. We were so fortunate. This podcast and this live stream already had a built-in community,
True.
So, I mean, to have 24 people listening to your live stream, that's huge. I mean, I know there's some that has to have hundreds or whatever, but most people have nobody. I mean, I was on a live stream. I was a guest on someone's live stream, and the only person in the audience was their mother, which is fine, but but we're so fortunate that we have had this. And so from the very beginning, we had plenty of listeners and all of that. So very, very nice. And Here's Time with the Weather was live on Zoom, which does add energy to it. So the live stream is so different because there is a little added energy that comes from it because it's live, right? You know, and it's like, we don't know what the hell we're going to say. We're not, and it just happens to come out. So I like that. And I do like the interaction. Like, this is a really nice format where people can make comments and you can talk to them. They can call in on the phone. It's kind of nice to have that. So this is just a goodbye to the podcast. Looking forward to seeing John and Mary in other places. Thank you very much.
We'll be in other places for sure.
Yeah. Sure
and I'm looking forward to someone stepping up to the plate that has always maybe thought about they'd like to do a podcast.
So Mary, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking you might like to do something like this going forward?
Well, I would say I enjoy doing this. It has taught me a lot. I've grown from it. I love talking to people, and I don't know what I'll be doing next.
Okay.
I mean, I do like talking about all things in recovery. I love that format, and I love talking to people who think differently than the average person, than the mainstream. So I'd be up for it. In what form? I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's fun. It's rewarding. It's
and it's very creative. It's also creative.
Yeah, it's nice to have that creative outlet. I always need something like that. I always need something to do that kind of moves that part of my brain. Working in finance, you're not really supposed to be creative, but anyway. So I guess we'll kind of wind things down. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for listening and for writing me and for participating in a live stream and for being part of my life. And I want to thank all the people who participated as guests for sharing their their stories with me and with everybody all over the world. It's helped a lot of people. So this isn't just something that one person did. This is something that a community has done.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned everything I know from you, and I'm just kind of regurgitating it. So I guess with that, I'll say goodbye for the live stream. I will be posting an episode of the podcast. I've got one coming up with I need to post that for someone who's written a book, and it's a very good book. It's autobiography, and she's on the board of directors for Life Ring. I'm going to post that, and then I'm going to post the final episode for the podcast itself. So with that, let's say goodbye. Y'all take care.
Everyone.
It was so nice to talk to you. I really did enjoy every minute of this. And now I'm going to go and do that outro music, and here it goes. Bye-bye.